Hello, everyone, again. I am Andy, coming to you from the United Kingdom.
Hello, everybody. I'm Scott, coming to you from Canada.
And this is once again the Tea and Timbits podcast, global perspectives on business development to help you prosper. This week, we are going to be talking about, we're going to be continuing our series on account-based selling, and we're going to be talking about effective marketing campaign ideas. But before we get into that, I understand you have a reflection, Scott, from your recent
Less
travel.
of a story, less of like an anecdote that sort of
You were away, weren't you, in the States not long
I
ago?
was down in Indianapolis last week. I was at a sales leader conference summit, and it was time well spent. I've been to this event before, and I was like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it when I was on my way down there. I was like, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm just not quite as excited. And honestly, it was me, not them. Like, it wasn't anything to do with the content or the substance or the people or whatnot. It was just, I was on that plane, I was heading down, and I was a bit burnt out. And I got there and I was like, oh, I need to flip that switch. I need to go back into like, present mode. And I got there and I didn't have, a friendly face in the room right away. I knew a few people that were going to be there as well and whatnot. And I just grabbed a water. Like I went to the bar and asked for like a soda water, and I just sat down. And it was the most sort of like freeing thing I think I've done in a long time. It's like, no, just let go of this. You do not have to be there in the energy that this room has right now. And then that kind of perspective kind of carried through for the next 2 days. And there were some really good sessions, and there were some people that were very motivating and had some really good stories to tell about being out there and being ambitious and making good plans and going after your goals. And I was just like, no, can't get myself there in this moment right now. And then it dawned on me that, like, boy, I've seen this before, and you see it in other people sometimes. And I don't know why this was the epiphany of this moment for me, but I was like, sometimes when we are here trying to push and coach and encourage, it's just not the right moment. But it doesn't mean that we need to turn it off or turn away or find another time, because I was still present. I just wasn't there with the right energy. So I was writing notes and I was taking down lots of thoughts. But it wasn't landing for me, I think, the way most of the presenters were hoping, but I was taking away other sort of things about how to improve doing what I was already doing, as opposed to like introducing new, brand new learning. So I thought I'd share that story.
No, that's very good. I think it is important to self-reflect and acknowledge that sometimes you're not going to be at the energy level that is what you're most familiar with, or what may have been the case previously. And
right, or what I sort of thought I needed to
yeah,
have.
that's right. There's no problem with being yourself, and sometimes just not feeling it. But
I mean, high energy things are also myself. It was, I think that's why I felt so disembodied in the moment. I was like, I'm supposed to be presenting myself differently, a way I'm used to, and this was different for me. So there you go.
Oh, interesting. Speaking of events, though, I mean that's actually one of the number one things that I had written down for this, account-based selling and marketing strategies. So we can just go straight into that, to be honest. Because I think taking yeah, this is fun. We're just going to carry on talking over each other. I'm going to let you go, Scott. You go now.
Sorry for anybody that's actually listening. I was going to put a little bit of context at the beginning of the episode to say we're doing things that we're talking about, tactics here. Again, we spent a couple episodes talking about the concepts and what it means to take this account-based selling approach. And then we thought, let's do a couple episodes on specific things that you can do to execute those concepts. Okay, so thank you. I said what I was going to inject. Carry on, Andy.
Well, it was nice to actually hear you say it without me talking over you. So thanks for that. No, so there's sort of 3 tasks under this events that I believe, so events is like kind of I suppose the headline thing that that you can do, but there's 3 specific areas that I think are most valuable that you can do in order to really develop the account-based selling strategies. And number 1 is hosting a themed networking event, so around a specific industry, but a particular idea or something to get people in, get people engaged, and get people focused on a certain thing. Not only does it then position you as an expert in that particular area, but also exposes you to people who are struggling with that particular thing and are looking to learn and are open to engaging and developing themselves. So this in itself can be very good, but also make sure that you're not the only person speaking, that you have other industry experts there as well, and give them a platform to share their own experiences.
I feel like we could do a whole episode on just how to build and execute your own event.
Maybe we should. Yeah, actually, it would be quite a good idea.
Because I intend to do this. It is something I dabbled with last year, and going to this event that I was at, I was like, no reason I can't put something together of a similar nature. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's a good idea. The thing that I do along these lines, I think might sort of be in a similar headspace to how you want to execute a good event, is have a very focused content campaign for the target account, or usually when you're doing this, you've picked a few accounts in a specific industry. Don't start that, in my opinion, until you have something to offer. And so if you already have that collateral, great, but package it up. Make sure it's on its own landing page. If it's part of your blog, if it's in disparate locations, if you already have a white paper, build a landing page specifically to send people, or otherwise package it up somehow, so that in one destination they can see the aggregate of the thought leadership and capabilities that you have. So when we do this, we're like, okay, we're going to call these kinds of companies in this area. We've got one case study. We've got a white paper. Oh boy, we actually haven't got any blogs about it. So we will then write at least 3 blogs that go along with it. And then we'll probably do like a studio session, like a recorded video podcast episode style piece of content to drop on the page as well. That takes probably another couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks to put together. But boy, does it land more effectively when you have that package of content specific to who you're reaching out to.
Yeah, no, it's really funny because actually at the bottom of my list of the events tasks that I had,
Andy, by the way, is looking at his feet for his phone at the moment.
My phone has decided in both recordings last week and this week, despite being on Do Not Disturb, to set off all sorts of alarms and notifications and everything as we record. And it doesn't do it any other time, but only when we're recording, it seems. But
I'll stop sending you those notifications.
Yeah. That's it. Maybe you're sabotaging over me. Anyway, I had create a content series as actually my next thing to support the events. So yeah, we're very much aligned on this, and I think certainly it's worth putting that effort in to because you're trying to create something of value. You're trying to sell the event as another product, essentially. So making an effort to package that in such a way that it is attractive and is interesting and adds value to the right people and attracts the right people is what's going to make a difference. I
Yep.
think
Absolutely.
I think as well as another, it's another task I had in my list, but it's about sponsoring or partnering with already
Mhm.
relevant events that are out there, because aligning yourself with and your brand with something that is already taking place is
Mhm.
actually also very important and valuable, and will help to drive a lot of traffic towards you.
I really like that. To extend on that, that was not on my list, but should have been. Um, um, Co-marketing. So, it's you got me thinking about like just showing up in somebody else's room, that helps you expand or amplify your message and reach a broader audience. When you can do what you're doing, but add in another partner, channel partner, subject matter expert, outside of your own business, then one, it helps you amplify your reach. You get access to their
Mhm.
network, they to yours, and so on and so forth. But it adds credibility to
Yeah,
your
completely,
message and your content. Um,
completely.
not in a false way, like in a genuine way. It's like, well, this person wouldn't have even agreed to do this with me if they didn't feel like, I feel confident standing next to Scott or whatever.
No, that's right. And also then, I mean, people then get to see, you, your logo, your brand
Mhm.
alongside maybe other people in the industry who are
Yeah,
bigger, more famous, more well known than yourself,
for
but
sure.
that you're aligned with them. They're going, oh, okay, this is a viable alternative to those big boys, to those
And
other people, and or maybe a compliment to them.
I used to be a bit hesitant about that, thinking like, oh, like, who are we to ask them? Or, I've never seen them do that. Like, I would disqualify them for them. Right. And I was like remarkably surprised how willing some very large companies are to sit down and do a studio session or show up at an event or put out some content together through their channel or
Mm.
whatnot. Yeah. So totally glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
The
and on that point as well, though, there's also a big advantage in having like a VIP event, so that you invite some of these top people, some of these
Yeah.
top customers and top people in the industry, and you get everyone together. But it's very exclusive, and those things can also help to strengthen relationships, usually with existing customers,
Mm,
but also for prospecting as well.
right. I mean, I get it. Like I get what you're saying, like the VIP exclusivity thing. Like some people do kind of like uh um not they're not drawn to those kinds of things, but they still like one-on-one high touch intimate affairs.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
and so I think it's just making sure that they know that, like, listen, this is going to be a hand-picked, select group of people that we would like to, workshop with. Yeah. And okay, so that takes me to my another point that I had on my list, which is now kind of a variant of, I think, the themes that we've already talked about, but that is um, producing, executing, offering something that is actionable. And by that I mean producing a workshop, or
Next
uh,
on my list.
yeah, or something interactive,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
a tool that can be used. And when we do this, we will facilitate this, and so it's an event,
Hmm.
but it's a professional advancement opportunity as well. And you come in to get some work done, but you're following this workshop format that we've set up, and it gets you thinking and collaborating with some other people in the room. So that's a sort of a variant on the event idea, and it's a variant on the content idea, because it is bringing that person into an active headspace, into a workshop environment. Um, we can also offer some of these tools as just templates that somebody can download as a fillable PDF, and they can walk through it on their own. And we probably have some recordings of delivering that exercise before, so they could watch that and go at their own pace, if you will. And that often has value at a different point in the account based selling sort of lead prospecting process.
Do you, in your workshops, do you feel that there's a value in allowing people to earn certification in something?
I don't offer that. I've
No,
never.
I've toyed with it a few times, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's very effective, and other times people really don't care. But I was just wondering what your experience on that was.
Well, the funny thing is that we've got this workshop that we delivered, this strategic planning canvas, and I've delivered it a few times,
Yeah.
and then I was asked to deliver it, and as part of the facilitation of a certified,
Okay. Yeah.
certificate program, and I didn't realize until, and then the group that I had um, been asked to do this for gave the participants a certificate after, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't start to think of it that way. So there you go, somebody else is given a certificate for the workshop that I did.
For the work that you're doing. Yeah.
There were other facilitators, and there were other workshops throughout the course of
Hmm.
the day, but it wasn't just me.
What about
Anything else
what
on
about
your list?
what about webinars though? I mean, where do they sit for you? I mean, because we've talked about events, we've talked about
Yeah.
workshops. What about webinars? What's your thought on that? Because I personally, I think if you're going to do a webinar, it shouldn't be a standalone thing. It should be part of a series. It should be leading
Yeah.
towards something. It should be in some way associated with an event or a workshop or something. But I know there's also value in the standalone, webinars. But what's your perspective?
So I like what you just said. I don't think it has to be just part of a series or part of
Mm.
an event, but I'm doing one this week with our software partner, and we're talking with a client on the call about the achievement that they were able to recognize, and it's
Mm.
a case study story. But I like the format because it's conversational, and you kind of don't know where it's going to go, and yeah, we want to make sure that we get some new eyeballs and we can introduce ourselves to some new people. I think that the just lower your expectations a bit on who's going to be there
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
The value of doing this is that you now have a piece of archival content that you can refer to, and we can embed this conversation after we're done in the case study story on our website, and we can send it as a lead prospecting follow up when we're reaching out to similar clients and things like that. So on its own, it still has value, but you have to be quite intentional and aware that the value is probably going to be unlocked outside and around the webinar itself, and not like, oh, I'm going to do this webinar, I'm going to get 50 people to attend, and I'm going to follow up with all of them, and I'm going to make one of them my client. Like, that doesn't happen.
No.
And or if it does, it's very rare. Or they've already had several touches with you in your ecosystem, and this is the one time that they decided, like, all right, it's time to give these guys a call. On the flip side, yes, I agree that when you can make it part of a series, it is incredibly valuable. So in another channel, we're going to an event at the end of the month, and we started the month with a webinar. So we knew, and we invited all the people that we thought would be in that room at the end of the month, and so we're introducing who we are, the partnership, the offering in a webinar. We're talking about why it came together and how to get excited about it, and we're kind of teasing, why you should come to the event, but also we don't want to have to start at the very beginning of the story when we are at the event. So it helps us sort of complete the narrative from that regard.
Very good. As you look back on the series that we've done now on account-based selling, is there anything that you want to add before we sort of close that out? I mean, if you remember, we talked about account-based selling as a whole, then we moved into how clients should qualify you and how they do that. Then last week we talked about the effective sales tactics, and this week we've been focusing a little bit more on the marketing side. Is there anything you feel that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover before we close out this episode and this series?
Well, no, I think that is probably been a pretty good overview of the subject matter. I was most interested in doing this series so that I could put myself in the headspace so that I could get better at doing this. It was a completely selfish motivation to put this topic on.
Has it helped?
And on the month, it's definitely kept me in the headspace thinking about how to do it. Before it seemed like it's a lot of work and it's not going to be that effective. But now I'm like, no, it's so much more robust, and has so much more impact. So, I think it will take a couple of months to sort of see the results for myself to be able to assess the value. So feel free to follow up with me in a couple of months and see how it's going.
I'll be keeping a close eye on your progress.
Very good.
And any of the listeners, if you want to get in touch with us or find out how Scott's getting on with his account-based selling progress, you can find us on tandtimbits.com, where there are many ways to subscribe to listen and to get in touch with us.
All right.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thanks, Andy.